Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another episode of the ABJ Podcast. I am your host, ABJ, Anthony Blackwell Jr. A lot of acronyms today. It's going to be ABJ, M.I.T. It's going to be a lot going on. My guest for today, if you haven't read the title, is M.I.T, Mr. Intellectual Tavius. But before we get into all that, let's get the new sponsor of the podcast. Let's get that ad read out of the way. Please go support these guys, too. This guy is super dope. I got to hang out with him a couple times, and he's essentially everything I love about, small business, and when it comes to supporting where you're from and not forgetting where you come from and loving and supporting it. So let's get into you see it right below right by my ABJ logo. I don't know where I am, one of these, but anyway, elevate your style with Fractal's brand Elevation 1470. Elevation 1470 is a reinventing style by bringing tradition and nostalgia apparel to the Fractal and surrounding areas in Schuylkill County. We pride ourselves on hometown heritage and community. Elevation 1470 is where the trail begins. You can find them at www.elevation1470.com for all the latest and traditional nostalgic style in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. I don't have my hat on me right now, but I got to go start rocking it, and I got to get a t-shirt. But they're a really cool brand. They got like Schuylkill Mall brand. It's a lot. So if you look at the logo, it looks like EL, but it's actually like the interstate on and off ramps for 81 in Frackville, and it kind of makes the EL. And Elevation 1470 is it's fucking. There's so much into like intricate stuff going on with it. It's really, really cool. But I'm really proud that they sponsor the podcast, and it's all for a great cause. But yeah, go check them out. Also, links below for not only myself but my guests. If you want to go grab some ABJ merchandise, if you want to support that Patreon brand, and or anything like that, there's a lot going on there. Also, the audio side of the podcast has hit so we hit 500 plays, I think, last episode. Since then, we're 5 away from 550, so we're already closing in on 600 plays since October, which is absolutely bonkers. So the people who are listening the audio side in their car on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google or wherever you're listening to iHeart, it's all there. Also on Spotify, there's a way you can leave a 5-star review, but there's not a way you can type in a review. But if you're listening to a current episode, I did add a question feature where you can like, what do you think of the podcast? So that is there too. So if you leave those, we'll start reading them on the podcast. I don't know if I got any new ones because sometimes it doesn't alert me, but I will double check at some point and find out if there has been any new ones. But guys, thank you so much for the support. It's been great. YouTube side of things have been growing good. A lot of good subscribers been coming. So I really, really appreciate all of your feedback and everything you've been doing to support the podcast. I think nope. We haven't gotten any new ones yet. But yeah, so thank you guys so much. 5-star ratings on Facebook as well. If you're watching this on Facebook, like George is right now, the MVP of Smash Master Wrestling. But without further ado, let's bring in my guest, the smartest guy on the independent wrestling scene. He's your favorite. He's my favorite. It's M.I.T, Mr. Intellectual Tavius. How are you doing, my guy?
Doing good, sir. How about you?
I am doing fantastic. I'm very, very excited that you're on the podcast. You are, like I said, we'll get into your journey here, but not very long into the scene. You said you had some time in, then took some time away to start a family, and then and now you're here, man. You're back in, and you are absolutely fucking killing it on the scene. Probably one of the most sought after people want to work and people want to like get involved with in this business is you. We were talking a little bit behind the cameras, and you're very, very humble, and you're like, man, why do all these people want to work me? Because you're good, my guy. You're talented. You're very talented.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, man. So I got into wrestling. I've been in it since my dad got me into it when I was a kid. I started off probably like 01. So it was like ruthless aggression, all that. Mom couldn't stand pro wrestling. Like my mother hates it.
Has she ever gone to your matches?
Yeah, she's been to one. She's at the first Smash Master show ever when I was in the Scrambler. So that was interesting.
She's not gonna like you jumping over the turnbuckle and kicking people in the face.
I have showed it. So I showed her that clip, and she says to me, she's like, "Just don't get hurt." She's like, "Please, just don't get hurt." She's like, "You have kids. Make sure you can take care of the kids." So I'd always been a fan of it. I watched it all throughout high school. At one point, I moved to Connecticut after I got done with school. I was welding for a little bit, and my dad, Sergeant Murray, was wrestling for PAPW out in Connecticut, run by Paul Roma and Mario Mancini. So I got in there, and I got in right when it was like me, Dustin Waller, The Haven, Zachariah Gibbs was in there a little bit, Kylon King's in there. And so I got in with those guys. We all, me and Dustin actually were our first debut match together. So we've known I've known that kid since we broke out into the business. Wrestled for about a year, and then I took about 3 years off, and that was when I started having a family. So I had my family, got all that situated, and kind of just needed to take my time off so I could get into the business and fully focus on it. I didn't want to half-ass it. And yeah, then a little over a year and a half ago now, me and you met at the Sanctuary. Dustin came down because Trotsky invited him down for a show, and he was like, dude, just come down. Like, he might put you in. Came down there, and I met Trotsky, and I told him I had my gear, and he was like, all right, cool, bring your gear and let's go. And here we are almost a year and a half later, man. It's just been a ride.
Yeah, Dustin's too. He's killing the scene.
Dustin's gonna be he's getting a lot of bookings now, and it's gonna be, I feel like, very hard to book him soon. I don't think he's gonna be available much longer.
I don't know if it was on Twitter or something I seen. He just recently did a spot with Leo, or maybe that was something he did previously and just had a tag to his thing.
No, he just did a match with Leo like a month ago. Not even. He wrestled Leo, and then like 2 weeks later, his tag partner Kylon King wrestled Leo, and they both destroyed it. They were both. It was killer matches.
They have a tag team coming up soon, right? Match at for the win, right? Is that him and Kylon that are wrestling?
Yes, I think so. I'm not sure where it is. I know they just wrestled West Coast Pro. They were just out in San Francisco.
Yeah. What's the name of his tag team with Kylon?
Miracle Generation.
Yeah. It's gonna be Miracle Generation. CMD, which is Deshaun Pratt, Boom Harden, and Lindsay versus the SAT.
Yep.
That match is gonna be insane.
Yeah, no, those boys, they're getting some bookings that I don't think they ever pictured would have happened. And I don't think it's going to get any worse for them at all. I think it's only up for them. So
there's your roses. Yeah, definitely another good talent to go follow. Because
for sure, definitely, it's Dustin Waller and at Kylon King for sure.
That's one thing, man. I'm really fortunate with the scene and I try to pride myself on learning more. Is because it's easy to get stuck in your 25-mile, 30-mile bubble. And then once you start branching out, and I'm still learning the New York side of things, but now I'm really diving into Jersey because that's where I get booked a lot. But man, it's absolutely insane what's out there. And people always talk about what's on TV and AEW and WWE, and they're like, well, what do you think? I'm like, dude, Mania and AEW, like, they're fun to watch. But I love my weekend shows on the indie scene and going and seeing all these upcoming talent. And like, then you see them on AEW and you get more excited because they're there. And it's just like, people are like, oh, they're not that good because they don't get the booking. But then you're like, yo, let that person go, and you're gonna be like, shocked.
Yeah. And I think that was the thing before I got into indie wrestling, like, all I knew was like WWE, Impact, a little bit of ROH, nothing about New Japan. So I didn't understand any of that. So I didn't get that. I thought WWE, I thought WWE and Impact, like, that was it. Like, those are your two companies. Like, after WCW was gone, like, that was it. And then I started diving into like New Japan and Lucha Underground and all those.
Love Lucha Underground,
bro. Like I don't care who it is. Like, it's Ricochet. No, it's Prince Puma. That's who he is. He's Prince Puma to me. That's all I knew him as a start. And like, some of those matches, I feel like you get indie shows, even indie shows around here. The energy you'll get in an indie show some days is a million times hotter than you'll get at a show with 17,000 people sometimes.
Well, let's talk about energy at an independent show. We just had one over the weekend. Uncle Massey's Smash Master 40th birthday party, and holy shit, man! I'm telling you right now, if you're in the 570 area or it's even if it's a drive for you, come out, because that card, I think, set a tone, and I think people are going to really start to speak about what happened at that show and realize how hot the crowd was, literally from beginning to end. And
bro, we made kids cry.
Yeah,
we made
kids were crying. Kids were crying. Refs and wrestlers were getting flipped off. Grannies were hitting people with canes. The crowd really moved around a building and went outside, then came back in, and went back outside again, and then came back in again. Like usually when a match moves around a building like that at a hardcore match, you get them to move once, and then they go back to their seat and they ain't moving.
But not to follow that much.
Bro, we could have started packing up chairs after that because nobody was using it. Like, it was,
and I don't think that's what people realize. Like, there's like, and don't get me wrong, there's so many good promotions. Excite's a good promotion. You got the Simones down in Stroudsburg and all those guys. All those guys are good promotions, but I don't think they realize what's popping up here. Yeah. And with Smash Master, like the people we're bringing in, you may know them, you may not. Doesn't matter though, because by the end of that show, every time I'm hearing people, and everyone's just like, "That was wild."
Yeah, and here's the thing too. If I know there's a lot of wrestling promotions out there to listen and people who are involved. Listen, let's stop throwing shade at each other because you might be like, oh, I'm gonna shut down this promotion or I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do that. At the end of the day, the only person you're hurting is the workers. And if you're trying to work, if your whole goal is to be the only independent wrestling promoter in the scene, first off, you're a joke. Stop that. And the more that the indie scene works together and helps build up, you're going to give opportunities to more talent, and you're going to bring fan bases into a business that we all want to thrive. Being the only guy in the top of the hill is a dumbass mind state. Stop doing it. Just stop. It's not worth it.
Yeah, no, I don't get it. And that's one thing. It's like I love pro wrestling. Don't get me wrong, I love it. Like I eat, sleep, and breathe this. Mm-hmm. But this business and this industry is so fucking toxic.
Yeah, it can
awful.
Be. Yeah,
and it can go and it's awful because it can go from being just like the high of your life, and then it just goes to toxic like that. Mm-hmm. And it could just be the smallest thing, and it sucks. But yeah, no, I mean, if we all just try to help each other out, bro, we could start a revolution.
No, listen, you're gonna have days where you're gonna run the same day because that's the only way you can get a venue, and that's just gonna happen. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, man, it's really dumb. It's fucking stupid. And if a promotion's doing that, like I don't want to be a part of it, man. We go to our locker rooms and we have the promotions that we have mutually worked together, and those locker rooms are just fun. And it's better to be there when everyone's passionate about the product and passionate about what they're doing. And listen, there are locker rooms where people are just there for the day. You know what I mean? And then they get out of there and they're like, all right, cool. What another cool booking. Let's get out of here and move on to the next one.
Yep. Hopefully we see you down the road, bro. Like, it's just
I like being in those locker rooms where it's like, yo, I can't wait for next show's booking because I can't wait to see these people again. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, yeah. And I mean, and I'm not trying to toot Masty's horn, but I mean, it's like Smash Masters is that spot. I mean, even like this past weekend, I mean, like we were in, like he posted, we were in a jam.
Yeah.
Like that was almost bad.
Yeah. 2 rings pulled out the week of the show. And John
won the morning of.
And won the morning of, and John rolled up with his ring. And I've never seen so much talent put together a ring and take apart a ring at a show ever. I think I'm coming on 2 years now, and I've never seen that. First off, I don't really help with ring put together because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and that ring looked like a Rubik's cube. I've never seen a ring like that before.
So I've never seen one like that one either, and even I sat there for a second. I was like, yeah. Someone got the instruction manual on this. I'm like, this is a little impressive. I've never seen 95 pieces for a ring here.
That ring was nice. It was cool. I mean, I don't know how it was to wrestle in it, but it looked cool.
I liked it. I thought it was a cool ring. The ropes were higher than I think it definitely was a little bit taller than the other ones. The ropes were definitely higher because you used the one on the ring we normally use. The bottom rope is definitely a little closer to the canvas, which I kind of like it being a little higher. It makes it a little harder for the dives. But
almost killed himself like 3 times.
I know. Me and him both did.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, but something about Sunday though, man. I mean, Massey came in and gave that speech, and it was we were all ready. It was like we were ready for the Super Bowl. Like we were ready to rock. And I don't know why it was like the energy everyone brought out from that show. Besides Ricky Price, he can kiss my ass.
Fuck Ricky Price.
But yeah, no, the energy in that show, man, it felt different. I mean, like, and all the shows have felt good. Not saying any of the shows were bad, but just the energy from that one felt different. And I think it was a great way to start this year. And I think it's a great way to show what's going to come this season because this season's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, make sure you go over and you check out Smash Master Wrestling on it's on. If you go to my YouTube page and scroll down to companies I work for, it is underneath there. Please subscribe. There's tons, especially High Tension as well. They have 2 different pages, but it's the same brand. But tons of good content coming out of there. A lot of clips have been coming out. So if you want to see little snippets of matches, and if they don't grab you, to go watch the matches, you're insane. But there's a lot of fun stuff there. But yeah, let's kind of dive into that a little bit. So that's kind of where we've been mostly working. You've had a little bit of a rivalry there with Furious, which holy Hannah, if you go back and watch those matches, you guys are absolutely fucking crazy. The shit you guys pull off, especially Furious. Furious is one of those other low key guys, man. You put him in there with certain people and it's magic. Him and Rocket last show, unbelievable.
Oh, that was wild.
Yeah, that's another thing too with this last show. Even what I would say, like, I don't want to say worst match because that's not a way I want to word it. But like, if a fan was like, "Yo, what was the match that you would scratch off the card or remove?" I can't think of one.
I really can't. We get these matches, man, and it's like sometimes it's good. It's like that's a banger all day, and then even some of them are just like, I don't know what it's gonna do. Could go up, could go down. We don't know, but it's just like. It's just that possibility. I think sometimes it's just that flying by the seat of the ass. And it's like, fuck it, let's just see where it goes, man.
Yeah, and like for how much it was shifted around and moved, it's been nuts. But then, you had your rivalry with him for a bit.
Mind you, too, which was with the rivalry with Jason Furious. Yeah. I'm 26. I'm not in amazing shape. I'm not those 205 live guys. I'm in decent shape. Jason Furious is 32 years old. And that man can go. He told me he'd been in the business for a while. And I was like, all right, cool. It's going to be a fun time. When me and that dude started going, I was like, oh, this is going to, oh my God, dude. So if nobody's watched it, please go watch it. The Halloween show was I'm so happy. You know exactly what spot I'm thinking of. And he did that dive spot out. And he hit the gravel.
He went from the second turnbuckle, but did the second turnbuckle from the.
He did the bottom rope, and he basically used it to springboard himself over for the flip, and it was just
on gravel.
It was
dirt.
pavement with gravel on it.
Yeah,
and it was it wasn't like small river rocks, it was like gravel rocks, size of a quarter, and he took that bump, and I was just like,
you heard the air come out of his chest.
Yeah, no, that was one of those bumps. I was like, this dude's insane. I was like, this dude's sick.
He did it, and I literally looked over. I'm like, why? Why did that just happen? Go prove that.
And this is one of those moments where it's like, you can go past everything and you can break that fourth wall because we're at that point in wrestling now, and it is what the frig it is. And it was like, he told me this spot, and don't get me wrong, there's people in this business that we have a rivalry. Me and Ricky, we don't like each other. We don't, especially after the fucking clown wig. I'm about to kill him with that one.
He gave me a swirly.
I know. I mean, I'd rather the clown wig than the swirly. Granted, it was the video of him sitting in the bathroom, waiting for you to come in was terrifying. He mugged both of us. If you watch mine, he damn near kidnapped me with the towel.
He chloroformed you. That's illegal.
I know. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But Furious though, man, he called that spot. And he was like, you're going to move. And I was like, are you sure?
Yeah, thank you, because I didn't want to take it.
Because, don't get me wrong. Like I said, man, it's real and it's not. It is scripted, but what we do is it's an athletic event. It's no doubt about it. Go watch what I do. It's an athletic event. But I'm all about, man, I'm not trying to kill somebody. And I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to blow your ribs out. Come on. But he took that. He was like, no, man, we're going to do it. And he took that bump. And, I couldn't watch it. I was like, nope. I kept my head under the ring. I heard him hit, and I was like, Yeah. I was like, dude, you good?
Now, but kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit, in a match like that, he's a little different because I feel like he's willing to take what he's willing to give. When you're a higher flyer, a high flyer guy, and you're going to do stuff off the top rope, or you're going to do, that flying stuff, when you're putting together a match with people, can that be difficult to be like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, and this is my style? Because honestly, if I'm in the business and someone's like, yo, I'm gonna do a 450 or something where I'm gonna jump off the top rope and land on you, that's a lot of fucking trust. A misplaced knee into the face, you know what I mean? You see it all the time on WWE itself, you know what I mean? It happens anywhere. anything can happen, man. Is that tough to plan matches at times when with certain people, or are everyone just kind of like, nah, man, I trust you, go for it?
It depends. It's 100%. It is. I mean, it's 100% a trust thing.
Mm-hmm.
With Furious, knowing he'd been in the business 15 years, I was like, and like to kind of like segue a little bit, like with all of Smashmaster, I didn't know how
he's like Beetlejuice. You say his name 3 times and he shows up.
Screw you, Price.
I hate that.
And so I was looking for promotions to do, and Massey had always mentioned he wanted to go and do a promotion. And I was like, dude, you got one? Hit me up, please. I would love to. So he asked me to do this, and he handed me a gift of Jason Furious with that match, because he could have put me in with anybody and was like, all right, like he could put me in with someone as green as I was, and was like, just go ahead, just try to figure something out. And that dude threw me in there with him, and that was probably one of the most fun matches working with him, because it's so easy to bounce stuff off him with Furious. But I think it's just, you got to go and look up your opponents. If you trust them, you can do it. If not, you don't. I mean, sometimes it's like, screw it, we'll just see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, sometimes a move you've watched a dude do a million times in a match goes wrong on that one time.
Yeah.
I mean, my buddy of mine who he wrestles, he's done he does a 450, and he had done it a couple times, and he landed them perfectly all the time. And we did it together in a match, and his head hits my chest, and he like didn't knock himself out, but he had no idea where he was, and he was supposed to go back up. He was supposed to go back up to hit another 450. And I was like, you got to go back up top, and he's just like, I gotta go up there. And I was just like, one of those moments where you're just like, oh boy, like here we go, like all right, like you gotta switch it up. But before going into that, we were like, all right, like no, we got the spot. We've done it before. We're good. We practiced it, and now it's like in the moment, shit hit the fan, and it is what it is. So it's just a guessing game, man. It's just a feeling out, I guess, from the moment.
I don't even know if I should post this, but in the spirit of good fun, ABJ from ABJ would be incredible. Never would happen, brother. I don't judge. People do that in their lives. I appreciate it, and everybody loves ABJ. But ABJ,
I wonder if this is another person because the sticker on your wife's car.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, she's been getting harassed. It's been great.
I saw that, and I was like, well.
She's like, I think one car was following her and kept pulling up next to her and like waving and she's just like,
oh my God. She's like, oh, last time I let him use my car.
Yeah. Her car is my usually wrestle day cars because I could put everyone's gear in the back as well as mine. I bring a whole production team with me, or whole production crew in my back, all my equipment. Because you ever that one day where it's like, yo, something broke, and I'm like, I got it in my car. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like wrestlers bring their gear. I bring.
Yep. Wrestlers always show up with the gear. Production boys show up with the gear.
Even if I'm not booked to do it, I'll be like, oh, your commentary busted out for the day. Guess who's got 4 microphones and a whole setup in the back? Because you never know too. If someone's like, yo, you want to do an interview? I have like a couple minutes, or like if a name's there or something like that. There's always a camera and a recorder.
Oh no, yeah, for sure.
I usually never use it. Because usually at the day of shows, even if I'm not booked, I'm trying to find myself to stay busy instead of getting my own content. But I find ways to sneak them in now. I'm getting better with it. But yeah, so then you go from Furious to the Ricky Price match, which they're pulling back kayfabe a little bit. You guys are kind of on a similar trajectory where you're very early in your careers, very early in the business, and you're both on a very big rise. You're on the winning side of things at Smashmaster. He's on the losing side of things, but you're both very big bright spots in the business. So I'm sure, that is kind of put to rest because you're climbing the ranks and he's still trying to find his way up the ranks. But I'm sure at some point in the future that'll maybe change. Him losing is amazing though. But now you just recently went up and squared off against Kit Raff, which, you went backstage and called your shot and said, You're my next opponent next match. Let's get it booked. And you showed up and showed out, and you got a big win over, I guess you would say, the Smashmaster favorite, the veteran of the 570 area, and put a big claim on. Now, listen, I know Kit Raff came out at the end and he challenged Boozy. It's already been announced that's going to be our main event. But I mean, you got to kind of think to yourself, like, you just beat that guy and he's in the main event. Like, you want that main event draw, right?
I do, but I'm okay with getting there.
Yeah.
I like taking the time with it. I'll build it. We'll get there. And I feel when we get to that main event spot, it's going to be a banger.
I love that.
Could be me and Price. Maybe we'll get somebody from one of my old territories to come down. Oh, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Now, part of your name and you're the smartest guy in wrestling, you had very good scouting there, realizing that Kit likes to use the lariat. He likes to use that arm to finish his match. That was your target. That was your you sniped that out and you injured the arm. So if it came, maybe there was not enough power into it. Like, is that something that comes to your game planning? And you said you study your opponents, you watch what they do. Is that going into a match? Is that a huge part of your game planning?
Definitely no, 100%. I mean, the second I find out who I'm wrestling, if they have videos to watch, if they have matches to watch, I'm sitting there studying it. And I'll sit there and watch anything they do. I'll learn their finish. I'll learn their signature. And I'll learn if they like fighting from the ground, if they like fighting from the air, what they like to do. I don't know, just makes you an all-around better opponent. I mean, I started in high school as an amateur wrestler. So all I know is just ground fighting. And then I did a little bit of mixed martial arts here and there. And then once I got into pro wrestling, it was just kind of, let's start going from the air now.
That's crazy because you are known for being a high flyer and maybe not smart to let your hand out there, but mat and submission and striking is your thing too. I mean, like like I said, that's a very well-rounded game right there.
I like to say I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. So I like to go and just touch all the bases, man. But yeah, no, I mean, the big thing with Kit is, I mean, you watch a lot of his matches and he loves throwing that lariat. I mean, it's basically like watching Kit, which is basically like I felt like it was JBL versus Eddie.
Yeah,
him trying to throw that massive lariat.
I told Kit, I said, I've never seen it before until that match. I was like, but dude, you remind me so much of like Eddie Kingston, just like that badass dude in the ring who just wants to fist fight and just has that grit about him. And he's like, everyone always says that, but I'm like, that's not a bad thing.
No, I mean, and don't get me wrong. I love calling people out and I love being a shit stirrer, but I will give credit where credit is due. Kit works, and Kit will lay in his strikes, and he will let you know who you're working. That definitely wasn't an easy win. Someone may say it was a fluke the way I rolled him up. I call it an opportunity. Don't appreciate Ricky Price's fans getting in my face after I win a match, but it is what it is there. If they want to hate, I thought he was saying that
you were his number one favorite. That's what
I thought so too. I don't know why he was using this finger instead of this finger. It was really weird.
It's the excitement. The excitement, you just gotta throw whatever one you got. You know what I mean?
He even said
he told Matty D he was his favorite ref.
Yeah. But no, as much as I'm very happy I got the win, and as much as does it suck I'm not main event yet? Yes. Like I said, in due time, I think it'll be better if I wait for it, and I'll take my time and call my shot when I want to.
Well, we have a question here. It says for the Q&A section, but what a better time to ask it than now. If you could book your own match for 2023 at a local Northeast PA talent scene, who would you choose? You can pick someone who's not Smash for this, and then pick someone in Smash. Maybe someone you've been keeping an eye on that you would like to maybe square off of next. You said one off camera that a match I didn't know I wanted until you said it. That's high on my list now.
Yeah, and I know. I think I know which one you're talking about, and I probably would see his Smash, but I definitely would work Ahmed.
Yeah,
I'll take me and Ahmed in a ring. Ooh, dude, that'd be magic. That'd be pure magic.
Because that would be the match where I don't know if you're gonna fly as much in that one because he finds that target, man. He's gonna.
I know.
He's gonna work it.
Yeah, it's funny. I've watched a lot of his matches. And he's a hard one because he goes from any angle, and it's wild. The stuff he comes up with, I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that.
He doesn't either.
I didn't like. I'm pretty sure he just comes up with stuff, and he's just like, "All right, someone give me a name, quick."
Yeah. He's one of my favorite people to call on commentary because there's no, it's something different every time.
Yeah, no, I don't think I feel like very rarely you see him use a move twice. And then someone.
And even when he's gonna do a move, and you're like, oh, he's gonna do this because it's in a position that
he tweaks it just a little.
Tweaks it. He changes it, and you're like, what?
just a little bit, and he gets that pop for you.
Yeah, so good.
And then somebody out of Smash. I feel is Rocket from Smash? No, he's Titan.
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
Because I know he's got that Titan lightweight belt. Rocket would be another one.
That'd be.
I mean, if you really want to go someone who's definitely not in Smash, I would go with Dyson Bennett. Yeah. Because Dyson Bennett's still working into the roster. Dyson Bennett, I think, would be another good one. But yeah, definitely Rocket.
Is there any like super indie people out there, like a Marcus Mathers or Jordan Oliver or a?
Oh God! Oh man, you're gonna get into that list. Shit, you want the Cliff Notes? I would definitely work Dustin again, Dustin Waller. Me and him have worked like 3-4 matches now, and every time we go, it's war. So I would definitely love to work Dustin again. Marcus Mathers, I would love to work with him. He just had a couple really good matches. He just had a death match, I think, recently. But yeah, that'd be another good one I would love to work. Lucas Chase, he's from up in Connecticut. He's on AEW Dark. If you never heard of Lucas Chase, go look him up. The Cure Lucas Chase, he is an animal. And he is every bit of it, and he's as good as he is in the ring, he's as good as he is on the mic.
Eric, I couldn't agree with you more. Eric said this fella keeps it up, he will be the super indie soon, and I totally agree with that. I'm just happy I'm getting this interview now because I think in like 2 or 3 years he's going to be too cool for all of us.
I never.
Donnie Bambino calling a shot says, I know you want to work the Don. There you go.
All right, Donnie Bambino at the high ground, maybe.
Lindsay said, would you be cool if your daughter wants to follow in your footsteps someday? By the way, real quick, you ever see that meme of the little girl? She's in. Yeah. Dude, it looks just like when I see your daughter. I'm like, dude, she looks like the little girl from the meme.
Yeah, man. So that was my daughter's second time ever being to a show, like ever in her life. The first one she was at was the first Smash Master show in the Scrambler. So this was the first singles match she ever saw me work. Would I want her to follow in this? I have a feeling she may anyway because she watches my matches and then tries to beat me up. I have gotten a couple of talks already from her daycare teacher because she tries to. So, like the teacher looked at me a couple of days ago, and she's a sweetheart, and she was just like, I never thought I'd have to have this conversation with a parent because like normally the kids just go home and roughhouse with their dad, but like you actually pro wrestle. And I was like, yeah, no, like it's a little sketchy sometimes. And I always tell her not to try to, like, we don't do this at home, or we only do this at home. We don't do this anywhere else. So, I mean, if she followed it,
we listened.
So cool.
Every time when WWE turned on, don't do this at home. Yeah, right. You're jumping off your dresser.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, if she followed it, man, I would love it. I'd support her all the way. And if she doesn't, she doesn't, man. It is what it is.
Yeah. So you were talking about before, guys working and your moments and like Kit Raff, but like, who are some of the people that you have worked that maybe like hardest hitting guys or people that, behind the scenes a little bit, pulling kayfabe back, you just really enjoyed putting matches together with, or like those small things that, behind the scenes that maybe a lot of fans don't know about?
If I'm gonna go hardest hitting, and I could already tell you who it is in 2 seconds, and it would definitely have to be my brother, my big brother, metaphorically big brother in the business. God rest his soul, Big Jim Anderson. Dude was 6'4", and he was like 275, 280, but he was built and looked like he wanted to just. He was a punk rock singer. So like he had like the Misfit tattoos, all these like crazy tattoos, but he was probably one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. I wanted to get bigger. He brought me to I was lifting in like a Planet Fitness, and he was like, oh, come with me. He brought me like an old, like musty 80s gym. Like the owner looked like the coach from Rocky.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, like this is the guy. And he brought me in there, man. And he built you up. But man, I
one
took
of those gyms where you need to get a tetanus shot after.
Like literally, like there's still asbestos like in the ceilings. And yeah, no, he hit me with a line one day, and it was actually my last match I ever wrestled before I stopped for those 3 years. And he hit me with a line in that match. And I remember I got to the back and I was like, brother, I don't know how my chest ain't caved in after that. I was like, but that was awesome. Yeah, so Big Jim was definitely one of the hardest hitting. One of my favorite to work probably has got to be, and I've said that already, is Dustin. I mean, we started together in the business, so we know each other like the back of each other's hands. So calling a match for us is, it's very easy. But we also do have that very big competitive nature, because we started out together. So, and because we started out, he got a win over me. So I never let him live that one down. But yeah, so I love working with him. I don't know. I like working with everybody. I really, honestly, it doesn't, I haven't had anybody yet that, being newer in the business, I haven't had anybody yet that I really didn't like to work. I mean, if you want to go with like a favorite match, I probably like singles. I've been in a bunch of I've been in a couple of scramblers and 3 like triple threats and stuff like that. I mean, triple threats are fun because you can have you space them out a little bit more. You can kind of space out what you want to do. The pacing's different, but I don't know, just something about a one-on-one. Like this weekend, man, when Kit went and hit me with that lariat and took my head off and folded me like a lawn chair, which like that's why I said it was great. He's like, run your laundry, fold it. And I was like, yeah, you forgot add starch. You know, it was the stiffest hit I've taken. And yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Your corners got scared the shit out of me because the turnbuckles had that piece. Like it wasn't just one flat pole. It had that like.
Oh, so that was wacky.
You almost hit your head on that.
I had never seen a pose. No, I threw myself to the left. Are you talking about my dive?
No, over the turnbuckle dive.
Yeah, my dive. Yeah. No, yeah. I was off to the left a little bit. I wasn't as worried. I honestly wasn't really worried about that.
I guess my angle looked like you were really close. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, but it was really wacky because a couple of times when I went to walk around the ring, I'm so used to just like a square or a round post that like you're not used to a triangle just jutting out from the side of it. So like you do almost have to kind of watch your face.
Yeah, like another 4 or 5 inches that you have to compensate for.
Yep. It was definitely unique, but I mean, it was cool. I mean, it was fun to use. I mean, I got to use it in my match. It literally, I would call it a key portion of it. I mean, I wrapped his arm up in there and slung his arm around in that thing a bunch of times, and I don't think he was the same after that. But yeah, I mean, every ring is different though, man. I feel like you really don't get the same ring twice.
And you said the ropes are higher too, so you had to elevate it even higher to get over that.
Yeah, no, the normal ring we use at Smashmaster, I think that bottom rope probably only sets like 6-7 inches off the ground. And you could tell the one that was at this weekend, at least, was almost a foot off the ground. So there was definitely an extra like 5 inches I had to jump for. Yeah, it was definitely one of those moments. I stayed back and I looked at it because because we had this set up with the ring so late. None of us got any time in the ring.
Yeah.
None of us got ring time before the show. So I literally I usually run and I'll kind of post myself up and see where I'm at and see how it feels. I literally got one run up into that corner. And I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
What can go wrong? And in my head, I'm like, 100 things could go wrong. I could die. I was like, all right. I'm like, let's go for it. And it's just, you got to have the confidence in yourself with it.
Man, that show is going to go down, I think, in a lot of people's minds, not just the fans, but workers and people like they said, the small things, how you said, behind the curtain, again, fans don't see this, but people getting their ring time and testing the ropes and seeing if they're stiff or they're loose or how to get those vibes and how to get those. None of that was a feature. None of that was a thing, really.
No, a lot of that show was the first match got done and they came back and they were like, this is a little funky. There's a little bit of a divot here. And so we're getting feedback and
the boards sound like they were shifting, because the way that it was set up was different. I mean, the ring was not bad. When I say that, like,
the ring, it was a great ring, and like it was solid. It honestly wasn't that bad to bump in. That was my first time bumping in a ring that had the shock in the center. Yeah. So I did like that. But it just had a different feel. It had a different feel. But like I said, you get so many rings that had different feels to them.
It was a testament to the locker room at M.I.T too, of just kind of letting the talent, like, hey man, we have to move things around. We have to shift stuff around. People's matches are going to get moved. Times are here. We're scrambling because we're running a little later than we need to be. But just go out and do your matches. I trust you. And then also the creativity of the talent of just going out there and still putting on stuff with zero prep and just kind of winging it. Dude, this 570 talent pool is unbelievable. And there's the people who come from that, like, not just, and when I say 570 talent pool, I know people aren't from the 570 who wrestle in that pool, but you are one of us when you come to the 570. You're like just people like, hey, let's just do this. Like the fact that Rocket and Furious put that match on with no prep of that ring or getting a feel for the ring and knowing that they have to feel the ring out before they do the crazy shit they're going to do. Just every single match from top to bottom, people's just creativity and just professionalism was through the fucking roof.
No, yeah, I loved it. And I mean, and I even noticed, and I was talking to somebody about it, and he said to me that after an intermission, that crowd was tired. They were tired. They waited an extra 40 minutes to sit there and just watch a show.
Mm-hmm.
Not many crowds would do that. Most crowds would be like, all right, I'm not waiting this, bye. And they'd bounce. They'd ask for their money back and leave. Then people sat there for an extra 40 minutes to everyone just trying to buy us some time so we can come up with something. Yeah. And me and Kit went out there after the second after intermission. And boy, that crowd went from tired to awake real quick, man. Yeah. And all of a sudden, we still had 2 more matches after us.
Yep.
And they were wired back up all the way through the end.
Yeah.
So cool. That was definitely a good one.
I can't wait for it. If people weren't there in person, I can't wait for you guys to watch it once the footage gets finalized and put out there, because it was a special show, very, very special. Now that maybe you guys heard this podcast and know the behind the scenes of the craziness that happened that day, you'll have more of appreciation for it. But yeah, we're getting close to the end. If anyone has any questions they want to put in the chat, please put them in if you have any questions for M.I.T. So besides professional wrestling and chasing around a little girl, what are some things that you do outside of professional wrestling that are your hobbies or stuff you do on your free time?
Yeah, man. I mean, outside of work or outside of pro wrestling, it's kind of crazy a lot. I mean, I work a full-time job. As much as everyone wants to think this is what we do 24/7, for a lot of us, it ain't. My shoot job, if everyone wants to learn a little bit about the old M.I.T, my shoot job is I work EMS and security for a resort, and I'm trying to be a paid firefighter at the moment. But obviously if this takes off, then we're going to be rocking with this. But yeah, so when I'm not doing that, man, I'm home with my kid. I'm home with my kids. I go to the gym. I hang out with my family. I hang out with my boys. I play some video games. I love Fortnite. I'm on. I play some Forza. I mean, WWE 2K. I'm on that all the time. But other than that, man, I'm pretty low key. I sit there. I love watching wrestling videos. I'll sit there and I'll watch IWTV all day. And I'll sit there and I'll just watch matches and matches and matches and just get ideas.
Is there a promotion that you watched that kind of caught you off guard? Like, holy shit, I didn't think I'd be into this promotion, but now like I fall in love with it. And they might not even have to be from around here.
Not that they caught me off guard, but it was cool to watch the build-up. And I know it's because I have people who I know that work on the show, and that's why I watch it. But Beyond, I mean, if you've watched Beyond from day one, and I know you have, to now, it's wild. They started out with like 40 people in that crowd, and now they can't make.
It's one of the top promotions that people want to be at and go work.
Yeah,
the names bringing are crazy.
Oh my gosh! I mean, case in point, like if you've never watched Beyond, go watch Beyond and go watch Leo Rush versus Dustin Waller. Go watch Alec Price. Alec Price would be another guy I'd love to work. Northeast Beast is insane. Kylon King is on there. Like all those guys that come from beyond, the talent that comes out of there is insane. And some of those dudes, I mean, when Dustin and Kylon and all them got on there, they weren't nobodies, but they weren't well known. And now, man, like I said, I mean, they just went to California for the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting flown to shows, and I was talking to them a little bit because we'll still chat it up every now and then. As much of a rivalry as we have, we're still boys. We still broke out in the business together. And I look at him, man, and I'm like, if you thought 2 years ago, like, this is where you'd be, and he's like, no way.
Yeah.
Not a chance in hell.
I still have those moments where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Dude, and I still have that too, man. I mean, when I stopped 3 years ago, I thought I was done. I thought I was done. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I had my time. I had my fun. So getting back into this now and getting
what nudged you to get back in?
Dustin telling me to come down to. Dustin had always been in my ear to get back into it because he knew I had something.
Yeah,
I'll give him the credit where credit is due. Dustin knew I had something,
mm-hmm.
and Dustin gave me that inspiration to want to come back into this. And I got into this, and he told me to come down to Sanctuary, which is where me and you. I don't even know how much we talked at Sanctuary that night, but I remember hearing the commentary when I watched it back, and yeah, it was just fun. I mean, the Sanctuary, you walk in and it's the church and all the lights and the WrestleMania 3 ring and entrance ramp, and it's cool. And so I got into there, and I was like, man, I still got the itch. I still got the bug.
It's funny, not a lot of people know that's the WrestleMania 3.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And then I got done with that show, and a couple of guys, Dustin, Kai, Marcel Williams when they were working with PAPW at the time, were like, cool, so you're back in the business now? And I'm like, I guess. They're like, cool, you're working a Rumble next week in Connecticut. And I'm like, I guess I'm working a Rumble in Connecticut next week. And yeah, man, it was history since then. And now it's just, I started with Connecticut, and I was getting a couple bookings here and there. And I was kind of just wading my way back into it and seeing how it would work with the kid. And then Rosh hit me up, and we started going from there. And now we're just riding it, and I'm just enjoying every minute. With having kids, it's one of those things of you don't know how long you can really be in it and how easy it is to get someone to go and watch your kids so you can go and do. And like I left a little bit early from the Smash Master show this past weekend because I had to get back to my kids.
Yeah.
So like I'm sitting there like packing up my bag and doing all this stuff and trying to get out, and I'm not trying to screw the boys over and say bye and miss the show because I love watching the shows, but you got to get back. I got to go back to dad mode. So I mean that's a big aspect of it is trying to balance home life and wrestling. So usually it's like I my mom, by the grace of her, she watches my kids for me, and she'll hook me up, or my kid's mom will watch it for her. But then I'll go and I get that opportunity to bring my kid, and it's so cool because she just gets so involved in it, and she's just excited, and she's getting to meet everybody, and she's so shy, but by the end of it, she's wanting to high five everybody. So it's cool to watch that aspect of it and see like her growing into the industry a little bit and watching, I guess, as a dad. I guess I just never pictured I'd have kids so early on in my wrestling career that now it's just like it's a whole new world with it.
Yeah.
So I'm just, like I said, I'm just enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying the gift I got given by Rosh, and because that was 100% a gift he gave me, and the matches he gives me and the matches he puts me in with. He's, like he said with you, was putting quality control. And as much as I can't stand Ricky Price, I mean, this is the one bit of roses I'll give him. You hit the nail on the head. Me and Ricky, I don't think people understand what's about to happen. And I think we're two people that are about to really start taking off in this business. And just the opportunity that Masty wants to give us and push us. And like he said, people might not know who we are now, but we just got done with quality control. And now we're just going to just jam it down everybody's throat. And you guys are going to know our name. And you guys will know Smash Master. And you guys are going to know 570. And it's going to be interesting. It won't just be New England and it run in the Northeast now. We'll have Pennsylvania in there now.
Yeah, absolutely. The Northeast Coast, man, we are very fortunate from Jersey all the way up the coast to Connecticut of
Oh my
professional
gosh,
wrestling and
the
talent.
talent is stellar.
Is unbelievable. But the last question I have for you, unless anyone has anything in the chat, and then we'll wrap this
Yeah, man.
up. If you have any advice, I know you said you're in and then out and then back in your short career here. If you had any advice, someone listening to this who wants to get in the business, who wants to be a wrestler, what would be some things that maybe you latched onto that helped you in your career, and some moments that you're like, man, I wish I would have stayed away from that or not done that? What are some advice you would give to young talent?
So I'll give you another little insight on me and my personal life because I'm not afraid to talk about it, and it is what it is. I just hit my 4-year sobriety mark on, I think it was like Friday or Saturday, something like that. It was literally like 2 days before. It was like, thanks, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. It was like it was like 2 days before the show. That was a big thing for me. I mean, the boys are always going to want to go out. I mean, we go to classics. And don't get me wrong, I'll go to classics and chill with the boys. I'm drinking my Coca-Cola or my Gatorades and stuff, but I also sit there with the boys, man, and just sit there and talk shows and talk what's going on.
I'm usually I'm the person who will drink and then keep drinking. But my trick is I'm responsible for driving people. That gets me not like I'll have a beer and then I'm done. So as long as I have Philly Mike and Riley with me, pull the curtain back if they're at a show and I'm there 9 times out of 10 I probably drove them. But I'm like, all right, I have to be good boy mode because I'm responsible for other people, and that kind of keeps me in check.
No, yeah, man. And so I mean that was a big thing, and I don't blame it on anybody else. It was 100% my own doings. I had my own addictions before I got into pro wrestling. So then I kind of just only fueled it myself because it just seemed like, oh, like everybody does their own thing. So cool, no one's gonna judge. Yeah, man. So I mean, like if you can handle it, I'm not saying do drugs and stuff. So don't say I'm saying that. Don't cancel me on that one. But yeah, man, if you can handle the drinking responsibly, you can go ahead and drink and have a good time. If you can't, stay away from it. It's not worth it because you won't get anywhere in the career.
Wrestlers and musicians, if you enter these fields, everybody wants to be a rock star, and so you have to. If you're not prepared for it, be mentally prepared for it because those days can come.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and the amount of stuff that you will see get not necessarily put in front of you or offered to you, but you'll see around you, and it's out there. It's out there. It's the world. The world's a shitty place in some spots, and it is what it is. I'm not saying wrestlers are shitty, but some people have their vice, some people don't. Yep. And so that would be a big thing, man. If you can just stay away from not getting into anything stupid, not getting any drugs or anything like that, man, you'll be fine. And just listen. I got trained by two dudes, Paul Romo. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He worked with the Four Horsemen. He was in a stable of Power and Glory and the Young Stallions. Power and Glory was his best with Hercules Hernandez. Them two were unstoppable. Sadly, Herc passed away from sleep apnea. But yeah, and then Mario Mancini. Anyone can argue with me at all. I'll say he's the number one jobber in all of WWF. But he was Undertaker's first televised match, like right hand to God. And
he took the first tombstone.
Yep.
Yeah. I met him at Icons and not Icons, Legends of Hamburg. He was at Legends of Hamburg.
Yeah.
He has a book out, I believe, too. You could buy he has like a book about his career.
I think so. Yeah. I think he does. But yeah, so Mancini was one of my trainers and Roma was one of my trainers. And they trained me and Dustin and Kai and all those guys, but they trained us 80s. And so you learned 80s style wrestling. The first month and a half was just conditioning, and it was just seeing who's going to quit. And if you can get through them kicking your ass, because it's not ballet. It's not. I mean, look what happened to Ricky. I mean, all jokes aside, everything aside, nobody wants to get hurt. No, because in the end, you screw somebody else. You take money away from them.
Mm-hmm.
So in that aspect, as much as I can't stand Ricky, in that moment of when I did that spot and I kick him in the face, in my mind, match is over. And I'll give one more testament to him because that was that moment. I looked right at him and I was like, "Are we going home or not?"
He's a tough motherfucker.
And he looked right at me and he goes, "Fuck no." And I was like, "All right." And we went back in there to war, and that's what it is. Mm-hmm. And if you can get through those moments, if you're like, I can't do this anymore, push your body a little bit farther. Your mind can do a lot more than you think it can. And it's wild, the stuff I've been doing. I never thought I'd do half the stuff. I never thought I'd do half the moves I do. Not at all. I thought I'd be strictly a technician and a striker. That was it. I never thought in my life I'd be throwing myself full force out of a ring and diving over the top rope and just saying, "Oh, hopefully someone catches me." Never in my life. But if you can just stick with it, man, and you can just keep the attitude, and if you can just take people's advice, not everybody's advice, because not everyone's advice is good advice. Take it with a grain of salt, though, man, and just learn around the ways. Stick around the good people, and you'll know who the good people are. You learn it very quickly in this business, and you can go somewhere in this. You can do something with it. Have some fun with it. As much as I wake up some days aching, and it's a little harder to pick up my daughter the next morning, man, wouldn't trade this for the world any minute I'm living with this right now.
Absolutely. Man, what an awesome conversation. I'm super happy to have you on. Like I said, man, the sky's the limit for you. If you haven't already, please seek out M.I.T matches and go follow him, or you can always see him at Smashmaster Wrestling. Next show, I believe, is in May.
May, I think. I
have a lot on my plate. Follow Smashmaster Wrestling on all social media. You'll be up to date. Just in closing, not this weekend, but next weekend, if you want to come hang out, I will be hosting HTW Spring Break 93 on the 18th. Doors at 3:30, bell at 4. Tickets are starting at $20. On sale now at hightenctionhtw.com/shop. It's going to be on Christopher Columbus Boulevard in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you come to this show in the morning at Icons at the 2300 Arena, tons of amazing legends are going to be there that you can go see. I will be there myself at a high tension wrestling table alongside Philly Mike Swanson and the HCW champion, Mike Skyros. We're going to be hanging out there, selling their gimmicks and merch, as well as
book me against Skyros.
There it is. You and Skyros.
I'll take a Skyros booking.
So you guys can come see them as well as get information for the show. Once the Icons is over, you can come a couple block walk. That's what we're going to do. And you can come see the show. Once that show is done, you can walk right. I heard there's a really good hoagie place, sub place or cheesesteak place along the way Philly Mike was telling me about. So you can get food and everything. And we'll have you in, done, and out by the time the next Icon show starts later on that night. So you can check out a great con, 2 amazing wrestling shows, and show independent wrestling your support in Philadelphia. And it gets you a little preconditioning warm-up for Mania weekend next year when that city is going to be flooded with independent wrestling. So definitely on the 18th, if you want to jam-pack a day of professional wrestling, that is the day to do it and come support that whole independent wrestling scene. Next week, we will have on another amazing Smashmaster high-tension 570 guy here. Tommy Vex will be on the podcast. Following that will be Jaden Steele. Seen him in the chat a couple times here. Eric Pinhat on the show. Following that will be Brad DeMeo. The guy you just called out, Mike Skyros.
Yeah, buddy.
Nathaniel Cunningham. And then rounding out the month, the queen of independent wrestling, Mary Elizabeth.
Oh, my gosh. You and Mary Elizabeth.
That's one of my favorite things to do on commentary is that I hate Tommy. Mary's a goddess. I always put over.
Tommy's horrible. I'm a bad guy, but Tommy's horrible. You can't kick Gavin out like that.
What a dirtball. But hey, we got to see some cool Tommy moments with Grimm. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that's something we see in the future.
No, that would be a good one too.
Yeah. But thank you once again, M.I.T, for hanging out. Doors always open if you want to come hang out or have something to talk about. Or
oh yeah, no man, for sure.
When you get popular, don't forget the ABJ podcast, all right?
Nah, man, I truly appreciate the show, man. I've been dying to get on the show. I watch all the time, so I'm excited to see where this goes. Go give me a follow. Add it to my Tavius. I think you put it down on the bottom there.
Yep, all your links are below.
And yeah, man, let's enjoy the ride. Come check out Smashmaster and let's see what we got going this year.
All right, well, that'll do it. We're going to close out some music by Billy Trey, and we'll see you guys on Thursday with Tommy Vex. See you next time.